What's up? This is Corey.
This is Dylan.
We're from Fault Lines, and you're watching Alive and Loud.
Welcome to Alive and Loud, guys. Today we have a special guest all the way from Chattanooga, Tennessee. We have Corey and Dylan from Fault Lines. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
It's a pleasure. So you guys are actually the second artist from Chattanooga that I have currently had on the show. We had Mr. Abraham Montalvo not long ago to promote his new solo project, Monoliths.
Good old Abe.
We're looking to hearing that. But I actually heard from you from a mutual friend of ours. Other than Abe, me and Drew got to talking about you guys not long ago. And I started to do a little bit of a deep dive into the catalog here, and I was not disappointed. So
how far back did you go?
I went back pretty far as YouTube would allow me to go. But listen, you guys are really good, really talented band. So tell us about how the band got started.
Yeah, so we started back in 2013, second half of the year. It actually started because I was looking for a place to live. Dylan was also looking for a place to live. And then we found a couple of guys who were looking to kind of like share a house basically in Cleveland, Tennessee. And we kind of known Chris, right? Like just from being in other bands and stuff.
No, I went to middle school with Chris.
That's what it was.
That's how I knew Chris. And then like I hadn't talked to him since middle school, but I've always been like Facebook friends with him. Like once Facebook became a thing and MySpace was no longer a thing. So I was friends with him and I saw him post, "Hey, I need roommates." And I was like, "Oh, I haven't talked to this guy in 7 years. Let me live with him."
Yeah. So basically we all crammed ourselves into a house. It was us three. Joe was not in the picture at this point, and it was our friend Dan. And then we all lived in this house together and basically just wanted to like jam. At the time, me and Dylan were actually in a band together called Everybody Loves the Hero. And then I think Chris and Joe were doing the Cold Front or Changes at that point. Around
Chris
that time,
was Chris still doing Heart Cake Party at the time?
He was, yeah, he was. So we were all kind of in bands, right? And we had all of our equipment at the house, and we would like jam, just kind of hanging out, just try to jam together, write some stuff. So it was kind of cool because it just naturally happened that we just became friends, living with each other, and then became like good musicians together. I guess we just found this like crazy chemistry because literally we would play like every day, and we would just write stuff, whenever we could. But we'd all get off work and then just jam on the weekends and hang out. So that natural chemistry kind of started up just from living together. But it definitely evolved over time. I know in the beginning we had a couple member changes, and then we finally decided on the name Fault Lines in like September. That's when we like became an official band, I guess. I had to look at our Facebook and see when it was created because I really forgot. It's been so long. But we started as kind of like a dual vocalist band. Like we were really inspired by like Volumes and stuff at the time.
Yeah. Issues was huge at the time.
Issues was huge. So. Yeah. We were stoked on Issues for like, we got to do the two vocalist thing. And our buddy Zach Wilson was singing at the time. So if you went back, listen to the older stuff, you may notice there's a difference in the vocals, and that was him doing cleans and I did all the screaming. But times have changed. We've kind of narrowed it down. Zach left a while back. Dan left a little while back. So right now we're just a 4-piece. I do all the vocals. Dylan does all the guitar stuff.
Yeah, and it seems to be working out phenomenally for you guys. I loved Happy Place specifically. That one really stuck out to me. What was the songwriting like on that particular song?
Interestingly enough, that one was actually a collaboration with us and our buddy Caleb DeRusha of Gideon.
Okay.
He did a lot of the instrumentation on it. We just made like a couple tweaks basically at the end. So that one, and I did all the lyrics and vocals, like all that stuff was originally us, but he did most of like the instruments on that one. It was the first time we really like stepped out and did something like that. Yeah. Like had a friend write basically for us.
A ghostwriter.
Yeah, sort of. But I mean, like we gave him. Yeah. But it was a collaboration because like he pitched it to us. We thought it was sick. We wanted to adjust a couple things, and then by the time we put our like final touches on it, it became a Fault Line song.
Yeah, no, it absolutely slams. It's a great song. I encourage everybody listening and watching right now, definitely go check out their YouTube channel and Apple on iTunes. But Happy
Yep.
Place was really cool. I was listening to it yesterday. I was kind of just like jamming around to you guys, preparing for today, and I was like, okay, Gifted, it's a rip. You got that one. That's a Dreaming Awake was great. But for some reason, Happy Place just kind of stuck out to me, and I love a good, if it can go past that 3-minute mark of, typically artists are releasing songs 2 to 3 minutes these days, but I love a good kind of, not drawn out, because that seems more of like a bad word with a song, but like a longer extended version of a song that you can really get into. So it was great. Well done on that. Dylan, I wanted to ask you specifically, who inspires you to play? Like, is there anybody that you grew up listening to play guitar that you really kind of like try to emulate or draw inspiration from?
Emulate, not really. The first like album that I learned how to play, like pretty much all the way through, because I like never had a lesson or anything like that. I literally learned to play guitar just basically reading tabs. So I learned all of Homesick by A Day to Remember, and that's what I played all the time. And I can always gauge how long I've been playing guitar, because I just have to ask myself, how long has Icky Thump by the White Stripes been out? Because that was the first song I ever learned how to play on guitar.
Nice.
Was that song. But as far as like emulate,
right?
I don't know if I try to emulate anyone, because like, but as far as just like inspiration,
like playing style that like really influenced you to get into playing guitar.
Nirvana. I really love Nirvana.
Okay.
Smells Like Teen Spirit. I learned how to play like that solo and like that whole song all the way through, and I was stoked on it. And just like here recently, like Deftones. There's a lot of like Deftone type stuff. Deftone, that's a funny word.
Deftone.
Deftone, huh?
There's a lot of like Deftones type stuff in the new stuff. There's a lot of, if you've ever heard of a band called Ocean Grove.
Oh, I love Ocean
Grove. Big band for us.
Literally my favorite band right now.
Phenomenal.
And
so good.
And then as far as just like, because we've never been like a shreddy, flashy band.
Yeah.
It's always been more of just like the groovy, just like the groovy riffs.
Yeah.
Simple groovy riffs is what I've always been. Because like I really, like Corey talked about the band we were in prior to Fault Lines. I played drums in. I never played guitar. And then we had Chris, who's a much better drummer than myself. And so I was like, well, I gotta do something. Let me play guitar.
Yeah.
So then but yeah, like we said, Issues was a big thing. Back in the day, we had like the more like djenty stuff. But then it just kind of went more to like a more rocky, more
nu metal now.
More nu metal, pretty much.
A lot more now. Like
because
we
of
kind
Joe,
have always rode that line of like hardcore, metalcore, gent. Like we've never really fit exactly into one of those, because we've been inspired by all of those, and we always just kind of try to like, write something around that, but not get pigeonholed too hard.
Right. So would you still classify yourselves as metalcore?
Like Nu-Metalcore.
We call ourselves Nu-Metalcore. Yeah.
I like that. I don't know that I've ever heard anyone else use that.
Nu-Metalcore.
Yeah, we're trying to coin it. Someone else probably said it way before us, but that's like what we're putting on all of our taglines and stuff. Nu-Metalcore.
Nu-Metalcore.
Right. I'm down for it. So going back to vocals, Corey, you have a very standout voice. You've got a powerhouse voice, actually. I remember the first time I listened to your songs, I was like, holy shit, who is this guy? Like, I needed to do some homework. So I'll ask kind of the same question as I did with Dylan. Do you have anybody that you really drawn inspiration from, that's kind of like that you grew up listening to, and that you would say that really kind of inspired you to get into music?
For sure. I mean, I've been singing since I was really young. My mom was always in bands, like growing up. So I was always around music and always like exposed and singing and karaoke and stuff like that. But when I started like doing my own original stuff, I pretty much always wanted to scream, like from the beginning. I mean, me and Dylan were in a band. We were like 15 and 16, and I wanted nothing more than to sound like Mike Kranica from The Devil Wears Prada. Like, I would just listen to their music and try to emulate that sound. And I honestly did that with a lot of bands. Like, basically, I would just listen to whatever heavy ass band came out or whatever emo band came out and try to like just sound like them as much as I could. And I think that's a great tool to learn starting out. But then I quickly had to kind of reset because A, I was screaming wrong and I was hurting myself. And B, I didn't want to just sound like everyone else. So I kind of broadened my horizons, made my own style, I guess. I mean, I could basically do any style, like from, false chord, Bullet for My Valentine. Oh, that's more like vocal fry. But then I can go down to like Entombment of a Machine from Job for a Cowboy. Like, I can do anything in between, which I think is cool. Honestly, though, like my biggest inspirations vocally, just well-rounded. Corey Taylor. I know so many people say that, but like the dude is a beast.
I mean, if he's good, he's good,
Yeah, I mean,
Corey
just
Taylor. I mean, you got
especially like just being a guy who sings and screams, because that's what I do. Like, that's a huge inspiration for me. I look up to people like that. I'm terrible with names.
I can give you two right now that I think that you may not think of, but I know that you love both of these vocalists.
Okay.
Garrett Rapp and Matty Mullins.
Oh yeah.
Because I feel like your vocals are a little bit more manly, maybe, but like as far as like Matty Mullins, but like Garrett, like when I heard you do that cover of Nerve Endings, I was like, yep, that's it. that's
it. Yeah, I used to have a YouTube cover channel back in the day.
Oh wow. So what's it like playing in a group just with a bunch of your friends, man? A lot of bands form and, it feels kind of forced, but you can tell there's a real bond here. And I like that. And it reflects, especially when you watch the music videos or, I've heard people talk about your live shows, and it really reflects that you guys have a lot of fun together on stage. So how is that for you to be able to have that?
I mean, I think it's dope. Like, you see a lot of bands that form for the sole purpose of becoming like a successful band, I guess.
Right.
And we kind of formed as like friends wanting to jam, which is really cool. I mean, and at this point, I mean, we've been friends and bandmates for several years, since 2013. I've known Dylan way longer than that. So like, I mean, we've been in each other's weddings at this point. We, hang out on a pretty regular basis. It's great. We were talking to someone else about this recently, about like it just feels like it's the way it's supposed to be, and you don't see it as much these days. It's more like focus on commercial and like, let's just get the most talented guitarist ever and the most talented bassist ever.
We obviously don't have
that. But like, I think there's something to be said about the chemistry that you have with friends.
Absolutely.
And I think that also shows when we argue. You can tell we're like super close to each other, because when we argue, like we'll like you can just tell like they're saying that to each other. Oh, okay. Like
we definitely get under each other's skin sometimes. Like, I don't know, it's almost like family. We're just I'm an only child. These are like the closest to brothers I've ever had. So
that's great. You remember that one time 6 years ago? How dare you?
We'll dig up like old vines and stuff we did living together. And
it's so sad because even on my time hop, they'll pull up vines from like 6 years ago, and I can't view them. It's just like, oops, not here. And I was like, man, I wish
maybe
because that house, because the house we lived in was the name of like our first EP, that 2151 EP. That was the name of the house we all lived in. So like that house, God, I miss that house. I wish we can go back to it, but.
We still plan on getting tattoos. That was like our goal, I think, is if we hit 10K monthly listeners on Spotify, we're all going to get 2151 tattoos, just because it's like, I mean, that like changed the trajectory of our lives forever, even, outside of the band, just the friendships and experiences and stuff.
I like that. So where are we at right now with your Spotify followers?
Like 7K,
so
just under 7K.
Well, followers are less, obviously, but like monthly listeners, we're sitting at 75-95 right now.
Oh, all right. So everybody that's listening and watching this right now, you know exactly what you have to do.
Absolutely.
Pause this episode. This isn't live. You're watching this pre-recorded. Get on Spotify. Do it.
Listen to a song.
Check us out.
Songs. And listen to them all the way.
All the way through. Yes, that actually helps the algorithms. Please.
So, Well, no, man. So what do you guys have coming up with Fault Lines right now? Do you guys have any shows planned, or are you guys looking to write more? What's going on?
Yeah. So 2020 was a crazy year, obviously, but
Yep.
it ended up being really cool for us because we all live close together. So we just got to write a ton, which I don't know, we haven't been good at since we lived together. So we finally got some time to just hunker down and write a ton of music. We actually have like a full album's worth written. We've been doing it, kind of hip hop style where we're releasing singles every
Yeah.
so many weeks and just kind of advertising each one as a single.
I love it.
So this we'll announce on the podcast because this hasn't been announced yet.
Oh shit, an exclusive.
We're going to be dropping our next song on Friday, July 2nd. It's going to be called Die Young. And it's going to be a banger.
This is the one. Yeah, this is the one we're all stoked on. Like ever since we wrote it, we're just like, this is the one that we want people to hear. And
Hell
like,
yeah.
the video we did for it. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like we've been kind of like warming up with like Happy Place, Gifted, Alter Ego. These this has all felt like sort of a warm up to Die Young, like kind of building our audience, which it's been kind of crazy because we've gone from like, I think it was like 1,200 or 1,400 monthly listeners up to almost 8K just with these singles. And we're hoping to like really just blast off with this.
Found something that works. Keep going. Keep driving it. That's awesome. Well, you guys heard it here first. New single dropping July 2nd. Don't want to miss that. So I'm assuming that's going to be on all platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube.
Yep.
It's going to go live everywhere on July 2nd. What's that?
You said the video drops the same day as well?
Video's not dropping the same day. It'll be on like YouTube Music as just like the album art or whatever.
Okay.
But we'll be releasing the video sometime after. We don't have a set date yet.
Okay. Well, we'll have to make sure we check that out.
Absolutely. Please.
Awesome. And I know, I think we were going to talk about some possible new merch coming out as well.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I don't have an announcement as an official release date on that yet. We said we're going to get it done before the 2nd so we can kind of launch it with the new song.
Okay.
But we've got some new designs in the works. We're building a new merch store. It's going to be like super official. It's not just going to be us like printing stuff with our friends and handing it out at shows. It's going to actually be like a web store. You can get stuff shipped all over the US, probably even international. It's going to be like cool designs, not just basic stuff.
And if not by the 2nd, hopefully by the 10th in time, because we do have a show on the 10th.
Very cool. I know I could use a new hat because I've been rocking Mr. Adidas here.
I think we still have hats, to be honest, from our
probably do
hats. I think
I'm gonna have to get my hands on some hats.
Yeah, man. Come out to our show or we'll just send you one.
Well, we're just gonna have to do both of that because you guys aren't far. So
perfect.
Moving forward just a little bit before we wrap up here, guys. Your style is awesome. The songwriting, we've talked about that. I want to talk about like the music scene down there in Chattanooga because you guys have such a very diverse music scene that I've actually been fortunate enough to experience firsthand. What has that been like? I know with COVID, everything, we had Songbirds that shut down. Unfortunately, rest in peace to that. That was such a great venue too.
Mm-hmm.
It really was.
What is some of the first live events that you're looking forward to the most? It could be your own. It could be something you're going to buying a ticket.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Signal is, while they don't pull in many like local acts, they do get some really cool bigger shows that would normally skip like a C market like Chattanooga is. So like they're getting what was that huge band? Is it Gojira that's coming through?
Yeah, Gojira's coming. Was that September?
Yeah, September, I believe.
Yeah, and Gojira. So that's pretty cool that they're just even hitting Chattanooga, not just skipping over us entirely.
Sure. And that August Burns Red show, Fit for a King, Era, and like Monster Flames.
I think you're right.
So. And I already got my ticket for that, so that's in October. But as far as like, but as far as like local, like I'm super stoked for our show because this is the first one since COVID.
Yeah, that's gonna be at Ziggy's downtown Chat, July 10th. And then it's not exactly in Chattanooga, but like a ton of people from around here going to Valley Vibes. That's gonna be a killer one. It was pretty cool last year, and like I think this year it's just going to be that much bigger, just because everyone's like raring to go to shows right now.
Mhm.
That's what I'm so pumped about. Is like, even though we took some big hits this past year with like venues closing and stuff, like people are just so ready for live music now that I think it's really going to resurge in
Definitely.
2021. It's going to be awesome.
That's great. Well, guys, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to sit down with us here at Alive and Loud. I can't wait to see what the future holds for Fault Lines. I know I'm definitely a fan. And for those of you watching and listening right now, make sure you go follow these guys on all platforms. You're not going to want to miss the things that they have coming up, because these guys are the real deal. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you guys for joining us today. Make sure you guys tune in to next week.